What's good, peoples? What's good? We've got here another deck profile. Today we're going to be doing Infinitrack Machina trains. Shoutouts to Aerosol TCG. He's the one who discovered this combo. He's the one who discovered the archetype mixture. He's the one who took this deck and made it the way it is. I will put his name down in the description down below, giving credit where credit is due. But here's my little spin on it. It's not too much different from most of them, but this is what I chose. The video will be broken down in 3 parts. The first one is going to be an explanation, a brief explanation about the deck. Next one will be a very fast deck profile. If you already have a Dozer Control deck, you just want to see what my ratios I play, you can skip to that, or you can skip to the very end or watch the entire video. It's up to you guys. The very end will be a complete breakdown on what each card does. It'll be the ratios, why the ratios are there, explanations, cool text you can do, but I won't have any combos here. The combos, this video is already gonna be long enough. Combos will not be here at all. Maybe a separate video if you guys want them, but the videos are everywhere for combos. You're gonna want to figure them out. Anyways, all those timestamps down in the description down below. Let's get right from the very beginning. So beginning will be the description. So this is Dozer Control. Dozer Control is a grindy earth machine deck that is able to use ranks and constant grind. This deck trains went from a very aggressive Unga Bunga glass cannon one trick pony where it was just straight up summon your Xyz monsters, go into late, OTK for game. But it was glass cannon, you know, you saw him strike a card, you gamma a card, your normal summon, it's gone. In this case, we can fight so many more negates. It's much more resilient, and the grind game is insane. So definitely a very cool deck, and it's also picking up in popularity. I was so glad that Aerosol found this combo and this whole mixture, because I was getting a little disappointed because trains, I had trains for quite a couple years now, and I loved them, but they were just, you know, they were just not surviving the test of time. Like, everybody was getting stronger, and you know, trains was just not doing good at all. But with the Machina engine that came out combined with Infinitracks, it's a whole new brand new deck. Very cool, very awesome. Let's get right into the cards. So if you're here for the quick rundown of the deck profile on just the cards we have, here we go. For our Machina package, we play a single Citadel, single Fortress. I play triple Metal Cruncher. For spell, I play triple Machina redeployment, definitely a 3 of. Metal Cruncher redeployment and overdrive, I think, are all should be 3s ofs. You could play 2 overdrive. I think 3 is a good number. You really want to see that card for sure. And that's all we play for our Machina cards. I'm trying to pick them up in somewhat order. That way it's easier when I do the second part. Don't worry, this will be quick. This will be quick. Next, for Infinitracks, we play triple Harvester, one of our 1-card starters, one of 9 1-card starters. We play the single Anchor Drill. He's no longer like very needed. Your normal summon is typically going to be the Harvester, no longer the Anchor Drill. Triple Dozer. This is what you want to search off of Metal Cruncher. We play double Trencher to extend, and our Tunneler. That's how we keep getting our links back into the extra deck. And finally, for the Infinitrack package, we play triple Heavy Forward. Just broken. Get to search for any of them and attach to these monsters. An amazing road up for the deck. Amazing. Lastly, we will cover our little miscellaneous stuff. Just give me a quick little second real quick to get these cards up. Cuckoo. Trains, I play the double Dare Crane and the single train. And so the bullet, you can play 1 of each. Some people like to play 2 and 1 of. I like to play the 2 for the lock, the chain block, cool. And then the single gearbox, this is part of our infinite resource game, and that's all we play for those. Next, we'll go on to our disruption. These are going to be our negates, our disruptions, triple nibs. We don't mind going to the graveyard because we can come back out. And we have, why are we going to extra deck? Where are my, oh, my bad guys. It's buried over here. So, anyways, double Ash. I don't mind playing 2 ofs. My other ashes are in my other decks, and you know, I just can't find the space for it. I'm happy with the way things are. I could probably cut this off for another ash, but I'd rather have the extra Dare Crane rather than a 3rd ash. We play a Gamma package, so that way we can Gamma our opponent's ashes when they try and stop our redeployments or our heavy forwards. The single Duster, because it's off the ban list, great card for back row. And double Torrential. Great, we don't mind getting destroyed. Wipe our opponent's board, awesome stuff. And that's it for our disruptions. Let's move on to the extra decks. I told you guys this will be pretty fast for those of you who just want to see what cards are in the deck. And of course, you can adjust your disruptions as you need be as the format. We play the single Labe, triple Goliath, constant resource for our Pot of Avarice, double Knuckle. Knuckle, we kind of is a good way to keep grinding out, and sometimes when he's in the grave and I want to use that effect to bring it to level 10, I'd rather have him in the extra deck to bring him out if I already have one in the grave. So single Ballista to get our Bucket of Bolts, our River Stormer, single Orcus because we can make our rank 8s using Anchor Drill and the box, a Bucket of Bolts. We play Tree Beast, a good little somewhat Omni Negate. Our Slicer, Pop and Burn, straight up burn, immune to card effects, and then our non-targeting banishing. We make this hard. I will end up putting Zeus in here eventually. I'm thinking I'm probably am gonna end up taking out the 7 Sins, or I might take out the Tree Beast. I'm not sure. Not sure, but that's basically it. If you're here for just that, well, there you go. There's the cards for you right there. Now we're going to go into the second part of the video, and that's going to be explaining the deck itself, ratios, why numbers are the way they are, and so if you're here, welcome. Just give me a second real quick to collect myself. All right. My bad. I'm trying here. All right, we're ready. All right, here we go for the second part of the video, and let's talk about our Machina cards. So these are definitely one-ofs. Citadel is a Raigeki for the deck quick effect. So Citadel says whenever one of our Earth Machines are destroyed, we get special summons from the grave. And then it's a quick effect. We can target one of our Earth Machines, destroy it, and then nuke our opponent's field of anything they have with equal attack or less than attack. So typically, you can destroy your own monsters. Whether the beautiful part about this is that, like, if you go into your Earth Slicer and you have Citadel in the grave, you're gonna want to pop something like Anchor Knuckle. You know, if you so let's just say you have 2 materials on Earth Slicer, it'll be good for us to detach 2, pop one of our opponent's cards, pop Anchor Knuckle, right, to revive the Citadel, and now we have our 3K beater out in the field, and we can either nuke or now we have an extra 3K beat stick out in the field. So keep that in mind that you can also pop your own cards. Don't be afraid to pop your own cards to trigger Citadel. All right, and so that's the thing. Citadel, that's what he does. And then Fortress is an OG card, but such a good card though. So whenever he's destroyed by battle, we can target and pop a card. Oftentimes there's something very troubling on the field. I wouldn't mind crashing into this. I wouldn't mind crashing into something just to make sure I pop something. So let's just say we're facing like zombies. I wouldn't mind crashing into, let's say, their Doom King Baller Rock to send us to the grave to pop Zombie World, because overall it's going to be worth it to make sure that that goes to the grave. You know, we want to get rid of stuff like that. Also, Fortress has a effect that does not activate. It's a condition where we can discard a total numbers of 8 or more to a special summon him from hand or a grave. The cool thing about that is that you can discard himself also. He's level 7. So essentially you can discard anyone and him to special summon himself. So if he's in your hand, this is your hand, you can easily just discard this to the grave to special summon this. And your opponent can't chain, like, you know, like something to negate the effect. I don't know, like let's say something that negates monster effects. Like, you can't, because it doesn't activate. It's a summoning condition, like the Cyber Dragon cards, right? So, and also if your opponent does not read this card, they're gonna be punished big time. Fortress has an effect where if your opponent targets this card, before that effect resolves, you get to look at your opponent's entire hand and then discard a card from their hand. Absolutely broken, amazing, awesome, great card. Well, it's not broken, but it's a great card if your opponent does not know what that card does. So Fortress and Citadel, I think, are both one-ofs. Fortress is a great extender because in your hand you can easily discard anyone. Oftentimes when you draw redeployment, right, and you just got a card, this is a great 2 picks to choose. If you already have a starter, you're gonna choose these 2. If you don't have a starter, you're gonna choose probably between these 2, or you're gonna choose between these 2. Most likely, I personally would choose these 2. Unless you have a way to get Citadel into the grave, you don't want to keep this in your hand. So this is if you don't have a starter. This is if you do have a starter. FYI, so that's good to have here. And then you can easily just pitch them both and then special summon Fortress. Now you have Citadel in the grave and you have Fortress out in the field. So those are targets for that. Let's see what we got. So those are our Fortress, right? Next we have our Metal Cruncher. Metal Cruncher, we can normal summon this if we have nothing face up on the field. So if we have nothing face up, we can simply normal summon this without tributing, and we get to search. We get to reveal 3 Earth Machines, and it does not have to be different names, and one gets randomly added to our hand. Your typical target for that is going to be Dozer. So this is one of our 9 1-card starters. So we get to normal summon this, reveal these 3, and because one gets randomly to our hand, we're guaranteed the Dozer. We are guaranteed the Dozer. So no matter what, we're pretty good with that. And after that, we can attribute this, special summon this, and then we just kind of pop off with our combo from there. So definitely, I think it's a 3-up because you want to see this for sure. And it also is another target for redeployment or for our trap card or overdrive. So Metal Cruncher is very cool. Unfortunately, oh, it hurts so bad that he is a level 9. He's not level 7, not level 8. He's a level 9 instead of a 10. We wanted him 10. You know, he has so many stars, you would think he'd be level 10, but he's not. He's a level 9. So it hurts, so we can't go into our rank 10s. It is what it is, you know, it is what it is. All right, but, and then let's go into our spells for the Machina. Definitely a 3-of. Redeployment is amazing. We get to discard a card, add 2 Machina monsters, but if we pitch a Machina card, we get to search for 2 Machina cards, including the trap. So if I can discard a Machina card, I'll definitely discard the Machina card to get the trap card because we want to see that trap card. But if I already have the trap card, or I just want to get the monsters, you want to search these 2. We've already talked about your targets for redeployment. And lastly is Overdrive. Man, what a great card. So the reason why we don't mind, typically if you banish our stuff from the grave, it hurts, but Overdrive saves us from that kind of like that worry. Overdrive does 2 things. So when it's set on the field, we get to target a machine, pop it, and then special summon another a Machina with a different name. So essentially, if this is in the grave, and let's just say this is on the field, I can target this, pop it to special summon Fortress, right? And if something got destroyed, Citadel is going to activate, and then we get special summon this. Great advantage, you know. So this is a great way to pop your cards to trigger Citadel or to get Citadel out of the grave. Your typical target for this, if you don't have Citadel, is going to be Citadel. You want to get Citadel out because this is going to be your constant Raigeki against your opponent during either player's turn. So great card for sure. I'll tell you another little cool technique. What you can do is we typically, if we open up with our level 10s, we can go into Dora. Dora, if has any of the Goliath attached to it, it can't be destroyed by card effects. Also, if we activate the effect and detach material to target himself, he's unaffected by card effects. So Citadel, what we can do is we can activate his effect, target the Dora to pop it to nuke our opponent's field. But his condition does not say that the target has to be destroyed in order to get that special summon. I mean, to get that Raigeki. So you can still Raigeki the opponent's field without actually destroying the Super Dora. So it doesn't say, and if you do, you get to nuke your opponent's field. It doesn't say that. It just says destroy it and then nuke your opponent's field. So very, very cool to know. So this can't be destroyed by card effects if it has this material, or you can chain Dora to make it into card effects so it can't be destroyed. And it keeps your Dora on the field, and it keeps a Citadel on the field, and you get to have your opponent's field nuked. So a little kind of tutorial on how that interacts. And then, like I talked about banishment, right? The reason why we're not too afraid of banishment, it kind of stalls us a bit, but it doesn't shut us down because we banish cards, you know, pretty frequently throughout time. And Machina Overdrive has an effect where we get to banish it to target 3 cards, 3 Earth Machines, either banished or in the grave, shuffle them on the deck, draw a card. So not only do we get to draw, but we get to recycle some of our banished cards. So if your opponent wants to like DD Crow our Citadel, it's no problem, it'll be right back. So that's the awesome part about this deck and what it can do. And that's all I got for the Machina cards. So we're gonna move on to the Infinitrack cards and what they do. Kind of keep this like over here. Hopefully that's not too distracting. Starting off with Harvester and Anchor Drill. They both have the effect where you can target another card and make them both the combined levels. So what I mean is that Anchor Drill is a 4, Anchor Drill is a 5. 4 plus 5 is 9, so now they're both 9s. So Anchor Drill can target, making both 9s. Harvester, target, 2 plus 5 is 7. They're both now level 7s. Now, I don't have any rank 7s here. We don't, until something really good comes out. For now, we'll hold back on the 7s, but we do have plenty of 9s. We have our 12s, and this is how we can hard make our Zeus or hard make our Spider, the 7 sins. Remember that Dozer locks you into Earth Machines. So as long as you don't trigger Dozer this turn, you're free to go into wherever you want. This is the only thing that locks you into something in the whole deck. Other than that, though, you're free to do whatever you want. But this is very essential to the combo. So it's like iffy, you know. It's like if you don't get to trigger this, cool, you're free. But then if you do, you get the advantage. But then you're locked in Earth Machines. So it all depends on, you know, the situation. All right, so what we can do is we have level 10s. So one thing we can do is we can use Harvester, target any of our level 10s, making both 12s, and hard make sins. And sin says we get detach 2 materials, banish all of our opponent's special summon monsters, non-target banishing, which is amazing. So that's really, really good to do. And then we get to attach one of those banished monster materials. So if your opponent wants to try and take that thing, do something with it later on, they're not gonna be able to do that. And unfortunately, we just don't have a way to make our rank 14, so there's no point of using Anchor Drill on Citadel. But other than that, though, those are some targets. Frequent targets are Harvester. So either the frequent targets you'll do is you'll use Harvester on Fortress, and you have 2 level 9s, so you can get Earth Slicer to start popping cards. Or B, you can do Earth Slicer on Citadel to make Zeus or to make 7 sins, or Anchor Drill to target our level 5s to make them level 9 for Earth Slicer. Or, you know, Sacred Beast, it's up to you. Or Tree Beast, up to you. But this is your typical combo line. This is typical your routes for those that effect. All right, let's move on. We're gonna go with Dozer Control. This you need to play 3 of. You have to play 3 of. And the reason why is because this is your target. I think I talked about it already though. This is your target for Metal Cruncher. So you normal summon, and then you'll reveal these 3, and you'll be able to get it easily. So definitely a 3 of for sure. You want to be able to use it for that. And plus, if you draw it, now you can start going into your other cards if you need to. If someone ashes your Harvester, your typical target for Harvester, it's going to be Dozer. But if you're Judah already, then it's like it's Ash or Imperm, you're good to go. What else we got? So they both have a separate effect besides the level manipulation, that when he's normal or special, we get to add a Infinitrack from deck to hand, and Anchor Drill allows us to special summon a Earth Machine from our hand. Don't do this. If you open these both, do not do this, because if you have this in hand and you normal summon this, and this gets impermed or if this gets impermed or effect veilered, okay, you have this in your hand, you're good. You can pop off from there, right? Even if it gets like negated. But if you are open both of these 2, thinking, oh cool, I can get a little extender if I use them both, I'll just normal summon this, activate the effect to special summon, and then activate the effect to search our Brutal Dozer. Well, what happens if this gets impermed or effect veilered? You're screwed. You're screwed. If you don't have anything to move on forward, like a Brutal Dozer, you're screwed. So don't risk it. Don't use Anchor Drill to bring out Harvester. Just normal summon that your Harvester, activate the effect to hopefully search Brutal Dozer, and then move on from there. Let me talk about. Actually, we'll go from there. Our Infinitrack, Brutal Dozer allows us to, when he's special summon from the hand, not in general, but from the hand, we get to special summon an Infinitrack monster from the deck and defense. Your typical targets for this is going to be your level 5s. So whether it's going to be our Pot of Avarice or it's going to be our Extender, your normal route on the first one is going to be Trencher, and then now we have 2 level 5s, and we can rank into our River Stormer. And River Stormer, when we Xyz, allows us to search any of our Earth Machines, and from there do what you gotta do. So whether it's going to be Citadel, but the number 1 target, this is better explained in the combo video, but your target is going to be Bullet Train. Target the Bullet Train. If you didn't draw it, if you're ready to draw it, then get the Derek Crane out so you can go into your rank 10. And that's what your typical targets for Brutal Dozer is going to be. It's a must 3 of. Tunneler is okay with 1 because it banishes for the draw 2, but you'll end up recycling it back over time with the trap card with our Overdrive. So we don't need to be playing 2. Like, the worst thing we want to see is 2 of those things. So You know, the occasional draw 2, that's what we want it for. That's how we keep recycling. So a must card to play, but I think 1 is fine. And then we have the Trencher. I think 2 is a good number for Trencher because we don't mind opening it really. Like, let's just say, like, you know, along our combo of needing to search for a Trencher, you know, if we open it, it's not too bad of a card. We can pitch it if we need to with Fortress, especially with Fortress. If we get Ashed or Imperm throughout, you know, our turn, and we can still, you know, have Trencher in our hand. I don't mind opening Trencher. Ideally you don't want to. You want to go through your whole combo, but I think it's a safe route if we see Trencher in hand. And when we banish that card for effect, if we can't get it into the deck again, then we definitely like to have Trencher in the grave to extend it. Trencher allows us to banish him, to special summon a Infinitrack, and it does not negate their effect. So our target can be Dozer. Remember, you won't get that effect to special summon though. Or we can get a Harvester. Your typical target for Trencher is going to be Harvester because you get to add a card from deck to hand if you haven't already used it that turn. So I think Trencher is pretty nice to have at a 2. Those are at 3, and those are the ratios for that. Let's move on with Heavy Forward. Heavy Forward is self-explanatory. It's a rule for the deck. Search for any of them. You know, if your number 1 target is going to be your Harvester. If you already have Harvester or an Opener, it's going to be your Dozer. If you somehow already have your Dozer later game, it can be your Trencher, or, you know, whatever you need for advantage. If you're like already doing pretty good, you want to kind of end the game, you already have a good field, Anchor Drill. So it all depends on like the situation. But anyways, let's get. Sorry guys, I'm like OCD here. Gotta organize these cards again. And that's it for our Infinitracks. For trains now, this is like kind of debatable in the community. How many of the trains? Most people play only 1 of each. I play the double Dare Crane and the 1 single bullet train because I think the deck already plays enough, you know, hand traps and negates. I think it's time to prioritize a bit on making sure we can get our combos through, and having the rank 10s are just amazing to have. So the reason why I chose the double Dare Crane is because I want to search Dare Crane, but I want to see. I want to search the bullet train, but I don't mind seeing the Dare Crane in my hand. So you know, we're allowed to chain block with this. So what typically we'll do is we will have Harvester, right? Harvester's effect, you know, upon summon, we get to ask something from deck to hand. But then Dare Crane says that if we normal special Earth Machine, we get to special summon it. So we can chain block. So chain link 1, chain link 2. Now your opponent can't ash that Harvester if you really need that search. If this is only the starter you searched, you have Dare Crane, you basically just guarantee your next search. That's the really good part about it. If your opponent ashes later on, then it's okay because it doesn't hurt as bad as, you know, getting the Harvester ash if we really need to. So Dare Crane, I think the chain block is worth it. Plus, it's just worth it in general because if we can get to our rank 10s to end the game, it's even better. Also, remember that Dare Crane has an effect that if he's detached for material for an XYZ monster, we get to pop a card. So it's great. So typically, if you can have the extenders. You have Superdora, let's see Gustav Max, and material on opponent's turn, right? Actually, he's on defense, right? If we're going first, then we can have sometime later on when your opponent tries to do something with it, try to take it or affect it, we can activate effect, discard, detach, then he's immune to card effects, so we will target him, and then we get a pop with Dare Crane, so it gives us an additional disruption in our opponent's turn. I think having the 2 to see that and have this moment to be able to do that, I think is worth it. Like I said, I want to search this, but I want to see this in my hand. If I don't, no problem, but it's nice to see it if we can. And remember that if you're doing your combo and you're able to make a rank 10, to use Dora's effect on before your end phase, because Bullet needs to be in the grave. You want that effect to be able to add something to your hand. So just something to keep in mind also, that remember to use that effect. Don't leave him with 2 materials because you won't get to search to Bullet Train. So keep the Dare Crane attached, discard the Bullet Train, and on your opponent's turn, activate Dare Crane to get some protection, and then also to get a pop. If you really wanted to, depending on what you're playing against, you can target any card, including your opponent's card. So let's just say, you know, they're about to get a gigantic, you know, stat boost. You want to prevent that, you can actually activate the effect, target their opponent's card, and then now they're immune to card effects, including your opponent's card effects too. So they can equip it with any equip cards, or they can't, increase the stack boost. It won't do anything. So that's something, if you need to, let's just say you're playing against Unchained and they're trying to pop something. Well, you can target that card, and then it can't be popped. It can't be destroyed by card effects. It's unaffected by card effects. So that's the something little tech you can do. Next, the last card is going to be our box. This is part of our infinite resource loop. Is our ancient gearbox. This is your target for ballista. It's part of your combo, and it's something you want to keep using as your resource game. Look up the combos to get some more information, but the single box is all you need. And we'll go for our disruptions. Oftentimes, unless we're playing a later game in the beginning, we aren't that dedicated to our board. Like, our typical end board is going to be just Anger Knuckle. So if we go on our opponent's turn, if we activate Anger Knuckle to bring out our level 10 out of the grave, and then we nib them on their turn, we're perfectly fine with that. We're okay with, getting the Biru out, and then next turn popping off, because we don't mind being in the grave. So nib definitely doesn't hurt. So I think it's worth main decking, because we don't have really dedicated boards like that at the beginning, and later on he's discard fodder for our Anger Knuckle. The double ash, I just don't have enough ashes to put them in here. The rest of the ashes I have are scattered throughout the decks, and hey, 2 is fine. I don't need to have 3. If you really want to play 3, you can take out a Duster, maybe a Torrential, but for me, I think 2 is perfect fine. I don't have to see it in my hand. I'd rather see the nib in my hand. I'd rather have the backup of the Duster, worst case. So that's for me. We don't have to have much back removal, because our Fortress is great back removal. We can always crash into our opponent's bigger monsters. He's at 25, which is okay, but he's not going to be terrorizing the field or anything like that. So we can always crash, take a couple damage, and then pop a card. And then, if Citadel's on the field, we'll bring out Citadel. So it's just amazing if you can get these guys in the grave. Great synergy there. So for me, I play double ash, single Duster, and then a Gamma. So the beautiful thing about Gamma is that we have so many like 1-card starters that don't require normal summon. That, like, for example, our deployment, right? We have deployment, so we can start off with deployment, and then we can start off with our heavy forward, and then we're free to get those searches, because if our opponent, ashes us while we get into those searches, then we get to Gamma them, and we get our free, bodies on the field. So it's great for punishing for it. Yeah, so that's basically it. I think it's great to have a Gamma in here. And then lastly, towards Tribute, we don't mind getting destroyed. Our destruction triggers our Citadel, which is good, and we just don't mind it. We don't mind getting destroyed. I think it's worth it. Plus, we have protection on some of our Aziz monsters. Like I said, if we have Goliath attached to it, they were good. We can treasure tribute while we have Dora out on the field, make it self-immune to card effects, so the Dora will stay. So I think it's definitely very, very good in the format. So I play a double tribute torrential. So those are just my negates. Those are play them as you like. And lastly, for the extra deck, bad guys, I got to organize a little bit. And lastly will be our Goliath. Our Goliath is our way of loading up the grave. We want to load up the grave as much as we can when we get Trencher out. So if we're trying to go into our draw 2, we load up our Goliaths like crazy. And then we shuffle them back in the deck with Trencher. I mean, that's Trencher. Tunneler. So Tunneler will shuffle into the deck. And it's a constant, thing. Riverstormer, we only need to play 1. We only have to play 1 because we can bring him back with his second effect. So Riverstormer has an effect where we can tribute a link monster, a machine link monster, to special summon it, right? So we special summon this, right? Then Goliath has the effect that when it's sent from field to grave, we get to attach to an Aziz monster. So we can attach it to Riverstormer. And that other effect can still be triggered. Active effect, detach material, search for any Earth machine. You see how beautiful that is? So just having this and this makes this live, because we don't have to go way back into our level 5 all over again and go through all that hassle. We get to simply just activate, special, attach, detach, and then search whatever card you need. So we only need to pay 1 Stormer. If this gets banished from the grave, Yeah, it can suck, but luckily we do have the overdrive, Machina overdrive, to shuffle it back in the deck if need be. So I think it's only worth playing one of the Stormer, but I think it's worth playing double of the Anchor Knuckle. Anchor Knuckle has two effects. The first effect is that we get to, I'll talk about the second effect. Second effect is that if he's in the grave, we get to send any card from our field or hand to special summon him. But the problem is his first effect is locked. Sometimes I need that level, like that level 10. So if later on we're in the end game and I'm trying to end this match, I need my rank 10s to go with OTK, then I will, instead of bringing him from the grave, I will instead hard make him, right? I'll leave one in the grave and I'll hard make him to be able to discard a card to end up bringing something out of the grave to OTK. So, and what his first effect is that you get to send a card from field or hand, including himself if you want to, especially a level 10 from the graveyard, but his effects are negated. So, and it's not the end of the turn, it's just negated straight up. Your typical target for that is going to be your Bullet Train, because although Bullet Train's effects are negated, it activates in the graveyard no matter what. So yeah, so I think double Anchor Knuckle is the way to go, because one, it's good to have it just in case your opponent decrows it, and two, if he's in the grave and you still want to use that effect to bring out level 10, you have that one in the extra deck for that reason. Our Ballista, is for our loop, to get our first bucket of bolts the first time, to get it started, self-explanatory. We're going to our Xyz monsters. We've already kind of started, right? I had a River Stormer there, I don't know where. Starting with Dingirsu, the way you make this is you can use your bucket of bolts and your Anger Drill. So we can target Anger Drill and then our bucket of bolts, make them both level 8, and then they're both 8, and then we simply just send something to the graveyard. Simple as that. And then we have our level 9s. Tree Beast, if you don't lock yourself from the Earth Machines, this is a great somewhat kind of omni-negate, but remember that you can only activate on your opponent's turn. Look up this card, Sacred Tree Beast Hyperion. I think Hyperiton, something like that. What? Hyperiton, something like that. And then Earth Slicer, your typical go-to. He's a gigantic 31, where you can detach materials, pop a card. Remember, don't be afraid to pop your own cards if you have Citadel in the grave. Level 10s, right? Our boys, our big boys, heavy boys. I like to have at least one of each for its different purposes. So we want to do some serious damage. We can burn for 2k by using this, or if we want to pop a card and burn for a k, we can use Sky Palace. But remember, you can't attack if you activate that effect, even if it gets negated. Or on turn 1, we will activate Super Dora to have some protection on our side. That way, we have a gigantic 4k booty on the field. And of course, we have our Labe. This is how we end matches right here. This is our gigantic 4k beat stick. And then we can detach, make them 6k. Typically, depending on your field, you probably won't activate that, but hey, you can do that if you like. And then lastly, our 7 Sins. I plan on replacing this with a Zeus eventually. It's just, money's tight, so I can't be dropping on that kind of dough like that. But 7 Sins, we hard make them by just simply using Harvester and any of our level 10s. So this can be our Citadel, or it can be any of our trains. And we hard make them, and his effect is that we detach 2 materials. And then we get to banish all of our opponent's special summon monsters and attach one of them as material. And then if he would get destroyed by card effects, if he would get destroyed, then you could detach the material instead. So very, very cool thing to have. Also, he's 4k. Oh, and guess what? He can still attack after he uses that effect. So a great way of getting rid of things like Dragoon, getting rid of things like an Avermax who made it through IP. It's non-target banishing is just the way to go. Like, definitely for sure. Start like one of the strongest removals. And that's it for the deck. This was a long video, right? So if you stuck around, holy crap, enjoy. The deck, definitely a awesome deck, fun deck. It takes a lot of practice to play, but I think it's worth it. And this thing grinds. This deck grinds like crazy, and trains did not used to do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want combo videos, let me know. I think they're all over the internet, but if you want me to make one, I guess I could. But just look around. Everyone wants to probably better anyway.